G'day legends, I hope you're all awesome. On today's video, I want to show you 3 different setup ideas for the Fractal Audio FM3 together with the Eventide H90. Both of these units are super powerful, they both sound amazing, and I think they complement one another pretty well. So we're going to dive straight in. The very first setup I'm going to call end of chain. And all I'm doing here is placing the H90 right at the end of an FM3 preset. I'll let you see the FM3 preset over here. Fairly simple. I've just got a compressor, a drive, an amp, and a cab in the preset. There's loads of headroom to add other effects on the FM3. I'm not going to do that right now because I mostly want to focus on the effects from the H90, but add modulations before or after the amps, delays, reverbs, whatever you like, because you can come out of that in stereo into the H90. And you can see I've used the output 2 block on the FM3 grid. So I'm coming into the H90 and then I'm just going straight back out to input 2 on the FM3 and finally out of output 1 on the FM3. The other thing that I've done is I've added a scene MIDI block in here. So if I hit edit on this, you can see all I'm doing when I change each scene, I'm going to send a different program change to the H90. A really cool thing about the H90 is that program changes, as they're called on there, are totally seamless. So you get trails and tails, whatever you want to call them. I can never remember, reverb trails, reverb tails. It's seamless switching in there. So you can go from one program to the next and not have any cutouts, which is pretty cool. So I'll show you how I've got it set up. Basically scene 1 and 2 on the FM3, I've got a compressor and the ODS clean for a clean sound. And I'm just using this one preset on the H90. You can see it's using micro pitch and the SP2016 reverb. I have them routed in series, which is super simple. And then on the perform, I've got the ability to bypass the entire patch manually if I want to, or each effect individually. And you can see I'm using basically a Landau style detune that I dialed in here and the vintage plate from the SP2016. I'm going to change scenes on the FM3 and it's just going to kick in a drive. The H90 won't change. Then on scene 3 and 4, I'm using the USA lead mid-gain, like a heavy boogie Mark series thing. And you can see when I press scene 3, it changes to a different preset on the H90. What am I using in here? I'm using, again, the SP2016 set up as a vintage plate. And then I've got like a circular style delay on the headspace algorithm. And you can see the parameters over here for headspace, very, very low mix. I'm using quite a long delay time, but then I'm subdividing that with the different heads in there. So that's pretty cool. Let's go back to perform and I'll let you hear this. And then I'm going to kick in scene 4 and it will seamlessly change over on the FM3 to a new scene and seamlessly change to a new program on the H90. Those seamless program changes on the H90 are really tasty. I've gone over to a new preset on the FM3 and a new bank of presets on the H90. Again, I'm going to be able to select all of these with MIDI and sync them to the scenes. But what I've done is I've actually gone out in parallel on the FM3. So I'm not running the H90 in series now. This is going to avoid my dry signal being converted back to analog and back to digital one more time than it has to. And I've set the algorithms in the H90 to run in kill dry mode, so they are not going to pass any dry signal. That way I won't get any phasing issues. Also, just as a little treat on there, even though I'm running the same two algos I was right at the start of the video, I'm routing them internally in parallel. just for something different. You can run them in series if you like, you can run them in parallel. It's pretty fun, and because of this, the overall mix is going to be a little bit different and the two effects will interact in a different way. Let's hear it. Now the effects mix there is very different to the way I had it set up in series. I could either send more signal into the H90 by using the output 2 knob on the FM3, or I could increase the amount of output gain coming from the H90. I'm actually just going to do the first example that I talked about. For this third and final example, I'm running the H90 in pre-post. So I've gone into the global settings over here, and you can see I'm using the dual routing setup over there rather than the stock factory insert routing. This way I have essentially two independent effects processors. Think about it like two separate H9s. I can place one before the FM3 and one in its effects loop, and I'm still running that effects loop in parallel. So what's cool about this is my guitar's going into the H90, it's getting converted, it's getting processed, it's getting reconverted to analog, going into my FM3. All the other processing happens there. The extra AD-DA stage is in parallel, so I'm not really dealing with any extra latency there, and then I'm coming out of my FM3. So it's, instead of 3 AD-DA conversions, there's only 2. Again, that parallel trick like we looked at in the second example is really, really handy there. What am I running here? I'm running, I think, Pitch Fuzz and the SP2016 Reverb. Pitch Fuzz is a pretty awesome distortion octave delay algorithm in there. I'll kick that in, and then I'll kick in this reverb in parallel. Here's another example. In this case, I'm going to be using the even vibe algorithm before the Mark IV, and then I'm going to chuck on some delay from the H90. Another good example might be, say, using the poly pitch in front of your FM3 if you need to retune your guitar at gigs polyphonically, and any of the modulation algorithms in there. The looper would be a really handy one to add in there because you could stack up things at the end of the FM3 chain. Sky's the limit with this kind of thing. Let me know how you would run these two units together if you've got any ideas that I missed, and hopefully these give you an idea of how to set these up if you do end up owning both of those and wanting to use both of them live. If you want to support what I'm doing here on the channel, there's a bunch of different ways to do that in the video description. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.